we are staying at this really neat place called Clary Lake Bed and Breakfast, owned by this couple, Rick and Linda, that are just fantastic people. And Rick is definitely a master carpenter. I've already seen a lot of his woodwork, and he's got quite a shop. He teaches classes, so hopefully we'll get a chance to do a little video with him as well and see some of what he's doing. Hey guys, so I've got Rick here with me, and I told you a little bit about him at the beginning of the video and how he's got this wood shop, and he is serious about doing some pretty awesome furniture. I love what I've seen already. I'm very impressed. I grew up doing some carpentry, but he's at a whole nother level. So he's been kind enough to let me just give you a little tour. He's going to tell you a little bit about his shop. He teaches some classes as well, and he obviously is very passionate about woodworking, so I think you'll see that right away. And so I want to introduce you to my friend Rick, who's been an awesome host to us while we've been here at this bed and breakfast. We've had a great time, and so we got a chance to now see his wood shop. So I'm just going to let you, Rick, talk a little bit about what it is that you're doing here and how you're teaching folks how to have a passion about woodworking, because I think that's what you've got right now.
It is, yeah. My name's Rick Gallion, and this is the Clary Lake Woodworking School, which opened 10 years ago, and with the sole purpose of getting people into woodworking, hopefully the beginners and intermediate woodworkers, giving them a resource, a place to come to where they can learn basics, I mean really basic woodworking, and also practice woodworking in a year-round shop with supervision and all the tools they would possibly need for any project they want to work on. The best way to learn is just to actually get in there and do it. And that's what I encourage my students to do, is just pick a project they want to learn, they want to build, and we'll use that as a learning tool. I've seen schools where they say, okay, you've got to build a bench or a footstool. And the student isn't really invested in that bench or that footstool because they don't need it or don't want it. So they usually have something in mind that they have been thinking of, they want to build for quite some time. It may be a table, it may be a chest of drawers, but they pick that project and we build that. And as we go, we talk about the different procedures that go into that project and the different ways you can accomplish those procedures using different tools, different power tools, different hand tools. I've stressed the importance of hand tools with my students because without hand tools, you're limited as to what you can do with the woodworking. So a familiarization of hand tools and how to use them, how to tune them, and how to sharpen them is really essential for any kind of woodworking. And I stress that with my students. And that's why I came to Maine, was to learn the essentials of hand tool work and fine woodworking. And so I want to pass that on to people that come to me. So that's basically what we're about here. It's an 1,800 square foot shop. And usually we set up a schedule of 3 to 4 hours a week, something like that, for them to come in, work on their project, and then go about their regular schedule with their work and their the family. I have several projects going on right now. I have a entertainment center that Patty and Trish are working on, some mother-daughter team. And this is a project that Patty's building for her audio-visual room that they have. They have a lot of audio-visual equipment, and it was very specific as to the sizing so that different pieces of equipment can go into different cubby holes and such. And I think we've got 2 more work sessions. They've been coming in Friday mornings for 3 hours for the last, I think 4 or 5 weeks working on this project. And before we started on this, Trish built an entire kitchen here by herself with me and Patty working to help her for her new house. That took about 7 months of Friday mornings coming in. This project over here is a chest of drawers made out of solid cherry that Tara is working on. This is her first woodworking project, and she's hand cutting all the dovetails. I offered her several options to doing the dovetails using power tools, but she wanted to do it by hand, and so that's what she's working on. And she's doing very well too. She's it's a surprise for her husband. He has no idea why she's been coming here 3 or 4 hours a week for the last few months. And so I'm glad she's going to have something really nice to show him.
So what's one of your favorite things to see when people start to learn and grow, or when they get involved? What kind of gets you excited, or you like to teach them?
What I like to see is when I say, okay, we're going to do this and this, and they say, yes, but aren't we supposed to do this and this? And they are thinking ahead of me.
Yeah.
Which most of the time isn't hard to do, but that is really rewarding for me, that they have got their head into the project and they're thinking beyond their headlights.
Nice.
And that's what's really important. That I tell them, woodworking, you have to be into the project mentally the entire time, especially when you're working with sharp objects, which there are a lot of around you.
Right.
And so when they start showing that mindfulness, that's what really impresses me, and that's what I like to see.
Nice.
I've got a sharpening center over here where I teach sharpening to my students. I've got just about every tool that they would need, except maybe, okay, I don't have nothing. I've got everything, so I don't think there's anything they don't have.
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I look around, I'm seeing everything that I would want to use, and a few more things too that I don't even have or never had. And I've never had one of these style sanding tables. It's a real nice rig.
Yes, a little oscillating sander like that is really handy. There's a lot of tools that are kind of icing on the cake. For instance, you could use a drill press for a drum sander.
Right.
But this does it so much better because it has the oscillation. And it's also, you don't have to set it up. You just walk over, use it, and walk away. And that's what takes up so much of your time with power tools, is the setup of a power tool. Yes, they do it faster, they do it very repetition, they make good duplicates and everything like that. But the setup time is about 2/3 of your time in the shop. So anytime you could just walk up, use a tool, and walk away, you're really ahead of the game. The mortiser is actually a quick way to do it. What I did for years was I used a router. And the router actually gives you a better mortise. The only difference is the ends of the mortise are rounded because the cutter is round.
Right.
And this gives you a nice rectangular mortise with square end, but it's chopping. So the inside walls of the mortise aren't as smooth as you get with a router.
Right.
And so for a lot of years I was using the router. Then I got this, and it's nice because you can see what you're doing, and it does go faster than the router, basically. But what changed the game for me was when I built this tool over here.
I was hoping you're going to show me this, because I was eyeballing that when we first walked in.
This is an overhead router, and with this, mount my piece in there, and it's got a moving table, and I can bring the router down and create my mortise like that. It's just so much faster, and I've got stops here that I can adjust to hold it in place and clamp it down. And it's just a faster way to do it. But like I say, you get the rounded ends. So what I've taken to doing was use my hollow chisel mortiser to cut the end, make the end cuts.
Right.
And then come over here, set this up, and then cut in between the square mortise, more holes.
Beautiful.
And then, so I get the rectangular ends, but I got the speed of the router and the nice smooth interior walls of the mortise that a router gives you. So it's a combination of tools that I come to start using for more mortises. And then once you have the mortise, then you're free to make the tenon that goes into the mortise. And that we do on a table saw. I have several jigs to do that with. And I talk about the very pros and cons of doing it each way. For instance, I'll see it done on TV or on a video, and I will tell the students about that. I will explain it to them and describe it to them, and say, now here's what the good side and the not so good side of that is. It's all about what they want to do, how they want to do it, and what machines and tools and equipment they have to do it with. As I was saying, my technique for making mortises evolved over a period of years, probably 20 years between the time I started doing them on the table router until I got this. So it's a continuing process, and that's what's interesting about woodworking is you're constantly learning, you're constantly adapting to new tools and techniques that come along, and outthinking yourself. And that's why I tell them, just because I do it this way doesn't mean it is the way to do it. It is simply a way to do it. Granted, I found the cheapest, quickest, easiest way to do it because I'm a cheapskate at heart, and I started out with next to nothing. And
we call that efficiency, though.
I'm trying.
You're efficient.
So if the way I do it, believe me, there's very few ways cheaper than the way I do it. But at the same time, new tools come along all the time that they have to be aware of and make it easier for them. And they have to be open to that.
So if somebody's watching this and they're thinking they're interested, how would you describe kind of the typical student or the person who might be interested that would want to come out here and work with you and learn more about this?
Well, most of my students are actually women. I think 2/3 of my students are women. It's been over half the whole time I've been running classes. And they are mostly people in their 20s to late 40s, early 50s. Some people some retirees that have wanted to do woodworking for a number of years, but they just didn't have the time. They were too busy with their careers. Now they've got some time, now they've got some money, now they want to get into it. I try to make my classes affordable for people because the wood school I went to was very expensive, and it was full-time classes during the day. And I was able to take off, 4 or 5 months to do that. Very few people have that luxury.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I try to adjust my time, my schedule, to allow for them to come on their time so they can work it into jobs, family, and whatever. And also make it affordable, because if they haven't really done a lot of it, they don't know if they want to invest a lot of money in it, and which is understandable. Nobody wants to invest a big chunk of change in something that they're not sure what it's going to be, that they may not like it. Right. And I've had students that they come and they do good in their classes, and I never see them again or hear from them again. They've done their thing. They've scratched that itch. They've built their little thing that they wanted to build, and they're done. They found out that it's work, that a lot of it's very boring work, dusty work, and tedious work. And it was probably not as quick and easy as it looked like on TV.
And you couldn't do it in a half an hour? In a 30-minute time slot?
I'm sorry, but you cannot build a roll-top desk in 23 minutes. As much as I'd like to be able to tell you can, and in no time, and even though the guy on TV, every joint is perfect, oh, that's perfect, and this is perfect, I tell them that's not the real world. Believe me, it does not happen that way. And there's a lot of stuff they left out. And that is the important stuff. The stuff they left out happens to be the most important part of the woodworking process. So just get used to that, I think. But
when you get to that end, though, and you see the finished product and you see that the blood, sweat, and tears was worth it, I think that often is what helps get you hooked. It's just getting that far, right? Sometimes that's tricky.
It is. Yes, that's the enjoyment of it, is the finished product. And you get the bragging rights.
Yeah.
You're in the front room and you go, somebody says, oh, that's a nice little table or cabinet. You go, yes, I built that. And they go, say what? And you get to tell them about the time you spent up in Maine building this project. And that's my, hook, if you will, on my website, is inviting people to come to Maine for a woodworking vacation.
Right.
Because that's basically what I did when I came up to the school. We took several months off, and I came here, and I did every day. All I did was get up and go to this first-class workshop over in Rockport and spend all day woodworking with a bunch of other woodworkers, very smart people. I learned a lot of stuff. It was totally enjoyable. And I went home at night grabbed a few hours sleep, went back the next day and did it all over again. Didn't have to worry about anything other than woodworking. And it was just a life-changing experience for me. And I want to offer other people that experience too, because Maine is a fantastic place
Absolutely.
to visit. And if you haven't been here, you really are missing something. You need to come up and see Maine. You'll fall in love with it.
Yeah.
Believe me, I trust that, because as you're driving down the roads, every time you turn a corner, it's another picture postcard view.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you get to do what you really enjoy doing, is woodworking.
Yeah.
So I usually tell folks, listen, you want to come up for a week or so, we'll spend, 3 mornings of the week in the shop, and in the afternoons, you want to keep them open so you can go sightsee.
Well, and it's great too, for there's a couple, and the one of them is interested in woodworking, the other wants to see and explore Maine. There's a lot around here. We've enjoyed spending the week up here and being able to go an hour to 2 hours in almost any direction and find lots of exciting, fun things. And I was born and raised around here a little bit, but then so much I missed out on when I lived here, that having moved away and come back, I got to take my girls and experience that too. So with the bed and breakfast here, it's just a fantastic opportunity to spend time here and enjoy the place, but also get your hands on some serious machinery that allows you to really press your ability to be patient, but also to be very creative and come up with some amazing furniture. I think is mainly what you seem to have a focus on. And I think, in my experience, I've done a lot of different carpentry work, but furniture is easily the most difficult and also the most beautiful and rewarding. So that's pretty exciting. Anything else you want to kind of share with me before I wrap up here?
You mentioned it yourself, the bed and breakfast. My wife and I run a bed and breakfast right here on the site, and that's an added plus that we have a student rate for people who want to come up and stay in the B&B and then walk 50 yards over to the shop and do some woodworking for whatever part of the day they want to do that. But I try to make it doable for people.
Yeah.
And I've been pretty successful. I haven't ever made any money at it, but
well, passion doesn't always equal money. Yeah.
I've had a great amount of fun meeting a lot of people and working with them, and it's great to see so many younger people interested in working with their hands. Yeah, it's interesting. I had no idea that there was this level of interest in the woodworking. I thought, well, maybe I'll get 1 or 2 people a year coming up. But I usually have anywhere from 60 to 75 people a year come through.
Wow,
taking classes of one type or another, either a lecture class on the basics of table saw and router or something like that, or actually a hands-on project like building an end table or some of the other projects.
And that's just the people who know about you. And hopefully folks who get a chance to see some of this will get excited and interested too, because that's a big part of it if we don't even know you're here. I mean, honestly, when we made reservations here, because we had family who stayed here and loved it, I didn't even realize you had a wood shop or that you're this master carpenter out here. So this was a really exciting surprise, which is why I wanted to capture some of this on video and be able to share it with some of my followers. And hopefully they can get interested if they're in this area, if they want to come to Maine, or even if they just want to get a chance to get a tour of the place while they're staying at your inn, they can still come out and you'll give them a little view of the workshop and maybe get them excited about. So.
Yeah, I tell people they don't need to bring anything. I've got everything they need.
Yeah.
And they might just want to come up and for a day or two and learn how to hand cut dovetails.
Right.
And we can spend 2 or 3 hours doing that. And they take a couple of samples home with them, and there they go. Mm-hmm. And that's probably all they'll need. So, I all different levels. Like I say, I work to whatever the person wants on their schedule.
All right. Well, hey, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you very much, Rick, for giving us a tour of your shop. And he has got every tool here that you might possibly need, and can teach you how to use it and use it correctly, which is a very important thing. Obviously, you could get hurt if you don't handle the tools correctly, but you also will see that you can build things that you didn't even know were possible with wood, with some of the techniques that he's talked about today, about using mortise and tenon and dovetails. And if you don't really know what that is, but you want to, this is a guy that can help you figure it out. So I hope you've enjoyed this video as well. I'm really grateful you joined us and you got a chance to see what this is all about here. And hopefully you want to come up and try it out yourself. So anyway, thanks for watching and hope you're doing well. Talk to you soon.